you about the privilege of prayer. The privilege of prayer. Do you know there are so many people in our world that do not even know how to pray or to even have a relationship with God to pray? It is a privilege that we have gathered here to pray. In the Bible, great people of God became great because they knew how to pray. The people who did mighty things for God, who had powerful ministries, and who lived holy lives were always mighty in prayer. Elijah's prayer brought victory over the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel. Joshua's prayer caused the sun to stand still. King David made a daily habit of prayer. Hannah's prayer resulted in the birth of Samuel, the prophet. And Moses prayed in intercession for Israel, and they were spared. Daniel prayed 3 times a day, even at the risk of his own life. Anna prayed fervently and was allowed to see the newborn Messiah. God is willing to answer prayer. His readiness to answer our prayers passes even our willingness to provide the necessary things for our children. The Lord is more eager to open than we are to even knock. Matthew chapter 7 says, "Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asketh receives, and he that seeks finds, and to him that knocks it shall be opened." Or what man is there of you whom if his son asks bread, he'll give him a stone? Or if he asks a fish, he'll give him a serpent? If ye then, being evil, know how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your Father which is in heaven give good things to them that ask him? You know, Jesus is our greatest example. In Mark, he said, "And in the morning, rising up a great while before the day, he went out and departed into a solitary place and there prayed." We find in the scriptures that Jesus himself prayed early in the morning and sometimes throughout the day. It says in Luke 6, "And it came to pass in those days that he went out into a mountain and he continued all night in prayer to God." Prayer is a priority. We find after he ministered to the multitude, Jesus would often find a private place to spend time in prayer. In Mark 6, it says, "And when he had sent them away, he departed into a mountain to pray." In Luke 5, it says, "And he withdrew himself into the wilderness and prayed." And then we see the Lord's most intense prayers in the Garden of Gethsemane when he, right before his triumph victory at Calvary, was won through being on his knees in Gethsemane. It says in Luke 22, "And being in agony, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was as it were great drops of blood falling to the ground." In Hebrews, it says, "Jesus, who in the days of his flesh, when he had offered up prayers and supplication with strong crying and tears unto him that was able to save, and was heard, and that he feared." You know, I want to talk briefly about how we should pray. This group of people gathered are people that have been serving the Lord for a season, sometimes many seasons. And we've watched other people around us as pastors, prophets, leaders, evangelists, and many churches online. But I want to bring this point today, how we should pray. In Matthew 23:14, it says, "Woe unto you, scribes, Pharisees, and hypocrites, for you devour widows' houses, and for a pretense make long prayers. Therefore ye shall receive the greater damnation." Oh, yeah, there are people that can professionally pray. They pray publicly. They pray in their churches. But, Jesus said, don't make these long prayers and look all holy and great. No, we must be sincere in our prayers. And the parable of the Pharisees and the publican, Jesus taught us that insincere prayer is worthless. And the second thing in Matthew 6, he said, mindless repetition, repeating holy words and reciting memorized prayers over and over again are of no real value. Matthew 6 says, Jesus said, "But when ye pray, use not vain repetitions as the heathen do, for they think they shall be heard for their much speaking." No, we don't have to have long prayers and hallelujahs and holy and repeat ourselves. No, we do not. He said that when we pray, we should not just be making long prayers and praying to be heard, or vain repetitions over and over. And the third thing, our prayers are not measured by the length of time we pray, but by our intense prayer. It's not how long we pray that matters. It's the sincerity in how we pray. True prayer comes from the heart. In Jeremiah 29, it says, "And ye shall seek me and find me when ye shall search for me with all your heart." I have seen some very, very, very awesome men and women of God say very short prayers, and the results were astounding. People were healed, delivered, and set free. Now, the last part I want to talk to you about really quickly is how God answers our prayers. Sometimes God says, your request is granted. He answers them immediately. In Isaiah 65, it says, "And it shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear." Sometimes as soon as we pray, request is granted. And then other times the request is granted, but not yet. God may accept our request, but not necessarily our timing. God does things according to his perfect plan and purpose and his perfect timing. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, "To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven." Never think that God's delays are God's denials. Hold on, hold fast, and hold out. Patience is required. And wait on the Lord. Be of a good courage, and he shall strengthen thy heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord in Psalms 27. The third way is request granted, but not the way you expected it. Sometimes God says yes to our request, but he does not answer it the way that we thought he would, or the way that we asked. God's thoughts and ways are higher than our thoughts and ways. We think we know what the situation, how it should be resolved, but God is the true judge and knows all things. Isaiah 55 says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, and my ways are not your ways, saith the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." Be careful that we don't dictate to God how he should answer our prayers. We should say, "Not my will, God, but thy will be done." And the fourth way that God answers our prayers is request denied. Yes, sometimes God says no. Remember the Apostle Paul requested 3 times that God remove a difficult and painful situation from his life, but God refused to answer Paul. In 2 Corinthians chapter 12, for this thing I besought the Lord thrice, that it might depart from me. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities than the power of Christ, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. If we're praying in the correct manner, he will always answer our prayer. And God may not answer us immediately. He may take it in his timing. He may answer it a way we do not understand, or he may tell us no. God bless you all, and thank you